What's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's video. We are going to be working on the 6x6 I think at some point, but first I have to go to the Volvo dealer because my mother's vehicle is burning oil. So I'm trying to figure that issue out because we do have the extended warranty on it, so we want to get it resolved. So I'm just grabbing my stuff out of my truck and then we're going to head over there. So just left the Volvo dealer now to get home because my mom needs her car. Well, it is burning oil. I mean, it was burning oil, but it was missing 4 quarts of oil when they checked it, and they're going to call us in the next few days to schedule a loaner because now they have to take the car and tear apart the engine and replace the piston and rings under warranty. First start with that. If it continues burning oil, then the car gets a brand new engine. So it is what it is. It's a 2016 S60 cross country, so it's the lifted sedan. Not very many of these, but the engine, they put this engine in pretty much like all their cars. Anyways, let's get home and let's bust out the 6x6 because we gotta fix some frame damage on the dang thing. So let's get to it. All right, so we're back at the house. Got the 6-wheeler out here in front of the garage, and I was able to repair the front rack. It was 2 pieces, now it's 1 piece, and I just used JB Weld liquid weld to squeeze it, clamp it, glue it, smear it out, and then I'm just gonna run a coat of paint over it, bed liner paint over this to kind of make it not seem so obvious. But the thing is, it's kind of broken on this side too, as you can see. And once you put this up on here, this whole like side right here is missing. It's supposed to look like this, but somebody ran into something with this before I owned it, and let me talk about the frame problem now. What we're having an issue with is this rack up here. This whole assembly is straight, but you can see right here, maybe not, this is supposed to bolt in right here, and the hole is back here about like an inch back. So when this whole thing got smashed, it forced the frame and everything. This guy, this metal piece in here, this part, I don't know if you can see it, this guy got bent back, and you can kind of see the shock tower here is bent. So we're going to try and fix that today. So I ended up going to my local Menards, not the bargain tool store, because this was actually cheaper at Menards and not the bargain tool store. Plus 11% was running. So we have a cable puller, or come along, however you want to call it. We're going to be using this and some tow straps. But I did get the 8-ton or 4-ton 8,000 pound come along, because I actually plan on keeping this in my truck after this now, because I don't have a winch on the truck, and this would definitely come in handy in some scenarios, I'm sure. So I like to keep, well, lifting straps, regular tow straps, and a bunch of other straps and chains, and no whips, just that stuff. Anyways, the way I'm going to rig this up, because if I just put it to a tree, so I was going to hook this up to the frame and then the other end to a tree. If I do, it'll probably just drag the whole 6-wheeler along with it. So I'm going to strap the other end of the 6-wheeler to another tree and try and, you know what, let's just go ahead and just set this up. Now I'm really hoping this works, because the Razor actually has frame damage too. Not really, but the front brush guard on the Razor is pushed in. So I'm hoping this works, because if it does, I'm gonna have to do the same thing to the Razor. But anyways, we got this all lined up, strap around the tree, come along right here, hooked up to the bracket or frame rail thing that we got to pull. And then back here, I have my lifting strap wrapped around the tree, hooked to the hitch ball, which probably should put on the frame, but that's okay. So now we just got to crank this until this hole pretty much lines up with this hole here. So let me get to cranking. Oh yeah. Let's go a little past. This way, when it springs back, if it does. Oh baby, look at that. It's pretty much lined up now. I went a little bit past the hole, but that's just for if it springs back, which it probably will. So let me disengage the come along now with a cable puller. Whoops. Ow, that was my foot. Okay, so now that... Oh, yeah, I think I did go a little bit too far. No, yeah, that'll be fine. There's a hole we'll line up, we'll put a bolt in there, and then we'll just gotta line these guys up here. So yeah, perfect. It's all lined up down here too. So, awesome. Let me just undo this. Pull that back, take this guy off here. Bam. All right, let's go install the front rack assembly, do this. And I got to put a couple more bolts in the front differential. And we'll probably work on the, whatchamacallit, the brake fluid. I'm pretty sure, I know it's the front brakes. I don't know if I have to rebuild the calipers because I think it's just out of fluid. So we got to pop this up. We're gonna put some fluid in the system, bleed it, but first, let's get all this together and looking better than what it is. You know, for being a six-wheeler and having 4 drive wheels, it does slide really easily. But I'm okay with that. All right, let's get to it. So while I'm down here bolting up the differential that was missing all 4 bolts, which should help with the slapping around when it's an all-wheel drive. Can y'all read this? This says a 4x4, Polaris 4x4. This is a 6x6. Well, I guess Polaris saved some cash there. Instead of making a whole new plate or just, I don't know, not printing it with the numbers on here, they just left the 4x4. Same thing on this side. Unless these were replaced at some time. So, I don't know. I just found that funny. Anyways, differential's bolted. I'm waiting for the rack to finish drying before I bolt it down. So now I'll put the thing on jack stands. We're going to take off the wheel and start messing with the brakes. This might seem like overkill using the impact, but if anyone has ever tried to take these covers off with a regular screwdriver, you know why I'm using the impact, because they strip out really easily. So it's just, I'd rather overkill it than not kill it enough. So okay, definitely need fluid. Let me go grab the fluid and then break that loose. We're gonna start pumping it all out, or pumping new fluid in. So hopefully this thing can work, because I need front brakes. The back brakes work, but it's nice to have both set of brakes. So let me grab fluid, break that loose, we'll start draining it. Well, this is just awkward. To anybody who's been following this build, I think I mentioned in one of the previous videos, the front brakes worked. So I didn't have to undo all this for no reason, but front brakes work. So I'm gonna put the wheels back on and go to the rear caliper and caliper and get that one to work. So I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so if you have a helping hand, it would be nice, because this way they can work the brake lever while you do the the bleed screw. However, I bought this thing years ago, and I mean years ago, probably, I don't know, 7-ish years, 8 years ago now. It's from Motor Products. I don't even know if they still sell this thing, but it's a brake bleeder. I have the universal thing here, which normally you're supposed to wrap a chain around the booster, strap this to it, and then you pump it up to 15 pounds, make sure it holds. It's holding, and then you undo it, put fluid in here, and then pump it back up, and then you just gotta undo the bleed screw, and the fluid just comes out. No need to pump, brake, tighten, loosen, whatever. So now that's holding, I just gotta put some fluid in here, and the way I have it set up is just very tightly on the handlebar with the J-bolts. But anyways, let me undo it, put some fluid, and then we're gonna prime the system or pump the system with new brake fluid, and hopefully that solves our issue. Well, you see, I think I figured out what the issue was. This was blocked up with a lot of dirt somewhere in the lines, and I found out that when you take the nozzle tip out of your compressor, the brake fitting, the line fits in there. So I kept squeezing this, forcing the air back through, and all of a sudden I pulled the handle while pulling on that, and giant geyser. So everything got covered, including me and the GoPro, and I don't know how brake fluid affects GoPros. So hopefully that would be covered under warranty, because I guess we will see what happens. I'm going to go clean the GoPro off, but I think now it's going to work and get fluid to the brake caliper. So I think just a bunch of dirt got in there at some point. So I'm going to go clean off the GoPro in my hands, make sure it's not going to ruin it, and then come back and fiddle with this some more and hopefully get those back brakes to work. Alright, so I got the front rack back on, and unfortunately I leaned on it and it did break. So I held for a little bit, but with everything being straight now and lined up, it's not as bad as it was. And honestly, for this whole thing being missing, to repair this, you would have to like try and reinforce behind there or do something, and then or just replace this whole thing. But otherwise, I'm not too worried about it. And again, new tires, but the back brakes, I've blown out the line, it's all clear, and it's still, I can't get the fluid to actually pump. So I think what it might be is this guy internally is bad somewhere inside here, like this piece here could be messed up. So I'm gonna have to order a new one or try and find one, because I think this is why it's not working. But otherwise, as I found out, this brake also goes to the rear, so as long as this one works, you can still stop all 6 wheels, or 3 wheels technically, or the 2 axles, because there's only one brake on this one axle. Otherwise, that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. I'm gonna try and look into this, see, I think this thing is bad, so if this is bad, then I'll order a new one. So can't do too much without a new one of those. So anyways, like I said, hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, big thumbs up. If you didn't, go ahead and dislike it, but let me know what I can improve on for next video. And as always, I will catch you guys later. Bye.